In my programs, there's usually great conversations, stories they tell about their boss. Good bosses, bad bosses, and those in between. And interestingly enough, I can't get into all the stories, so I always say, hey, if you have a story, I would love to still work through it. Just shoot me an email. So every so often, I do get great stories that are super relatable across industries, across different levels of positions. And I want to bring one today because I think this one is super relatable. And let's work through not only what's going on, but what you can do about it. So here's the email. Kelly, my boss is constantly too busy. Every time I try to bring up an issue, he glances at his phone or cuts me off with, "You got it." He trusts me, but honestly, it feels like I'm working in a vacuum. I don't need micromanagement. I need someone to listen for once. Yeah. How many of you feel that, right? I just want someone to listen for once. I felt like, especially during my burnout crash, where I was overloaded, I continually was taking on more, and people still weren't listening. We were just grinding and hustling and going through metrics that didn't matter, and I was suffocating, screaming for help, and no one would listen until it was time for my resignation. And then suddenly people started listening, and I hated that. I was a female in a male dominant industry, so I felt like these situations came up more than you thought. But it really wasn't the situation of me being a female in a male industry. Really, what it was, similar to this story that I just read that was emailed in, is a disconnected manager. And what's happening here is managers and leaders are often overloaded. They haven't even let go of tasks that they have been promoted away from. They are hands in all different positions, and different type of meetings that maybe they shouldn't. They might be over responsible because they want to get the result because it's their name on it. So that can lead to survivorship mode. That can lead to what I like to call is boss burnout. And that means they're operating in survivorship mode. So even though you're coming to them with a simple task or a simple question, or maybe just listen, that's a huge task in their mind when you're in survivorship mode. Another thing on their to-do list. And when they're stretched really thin like that, they're unintentionally starting to shut off. Their system is saying, I am just trying to protect our main core organs, breathing, that heart beating. I do not want more. Go away. And that's where that's coming from. It doesn't mean that they're trying to be malicious, that they're disrespecting you. It's that their body's in survivorship mode. They have now crossed the line from stress into burnout, and they're shutting off that psychological safety. They're saying, you are now a threat. You're going to give me more work. And so when you can see that in your leaders and your bosses, and now are there bad bosses? Absolutely. I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about the ones that aren't listening and they used to listen, or you know that they care and they're not listening, right? They're disconnected suddenly. It's not something to ignore, because you can start to shift the energy, and it doesn't mean that you own fixing their burnout. It means that you own shifting the conversation to a point until they get out of survivorship mode. Now, how to do that, how to start to connect with a disconnected manager, or get them to listen when they're in this boss burnout, is to shift to micro conversations. So these are 10-minute, 15-minute conversations instead of 1 hour, 2 hour meetings. And you're focused on a one simple task conversation, a one I need your support or to work through my ideas in my head type of conversation that should be 10 to 15 minutes. When someone is in survivorship mode and you want to have an hour-long meeting, and you go into all these black holes and octopus arms of issues going on, and this person said that, and now we got to do this, and then we have system changes over here, right? And you're just venting on them, of course they're going to shut down because their body's already in survivorship mode. That psychological safety is low. So you're a threat. They're not going to be listening. When you say, hey, can I have 10 minutes to work through a few thoughts in my head? You're shifting the energy from putting things on them to just hear me out. Just listen. Am I going in the right direction? Can you confirm this? What would you do about that? Right? So you're not adding more to their plate. You're just having that third party listening ear. And so when you switch these micro conversations, it doesn't seem like a big overload to someone who's in boss burnout. Now, in order to do that, I want you to do this next thing, which is lead with clarity. So if you're going to set the meeting up, if you're going to pop into their office, I want you to clarify the question or the decision you're going to be talking about. And I prefer for you to shoot an email or send out a meeting invite to block the time, because those pop in office conversations aren't going to be super valuable if someone's in boss burnout, right? You're another interruption. So lead with clarity. What are you going to talk about? Because that also will get their survivorship mode, that psychological safety, to chill out a little bit. That, hey, I'm just talking about the new system integration and how to use these functions, right? I'm not complaining about the new system integration. I just need some user friendly, how do we want to process this out for the next steps? So you're doing these micro conversations, you're being real about your questions, and then I want you to understand some factors of trust. Now, when you understand how each work style has gained trust, how you can grow trust, that can also get someone out of this survivorship mode. This can rebuild a disconnected manager into connection again. So, how we want to build trust with boss burnout, you want to address the fast movers where it matters most. So, our D's, our dominants, our reds, and our I's, our influence, our yellows, those are the two fast movers, right? These are the bosses that are burning out because uh, they're having inefficiencies. People are moving too slow through change. They don't have enough autonomy and voice. They're not getting connection to move things forward. So when you want to build some trust, to get connected with them for this conversation, so they start listening, recognize how they build trust, right? They want efficiency, so they don't want the hour-long meeting. They want the 10-minute meeting. They want that open dialogue and connection, but not all the fluff and puff. Let's not talk about everything and anything right now. Let's talk about the pure question you came in for. Now, our other styles, which are a little more methodic and steady, those are S, supportives, our greens, and C, compliance, our blues. They're looking for predictability and they're looking for steadiness. So if you're wondering, hey, boss burnout, I want you to listen more, are you slamming them with new ideas? Constant change. Because yes, you're having them check out immediately in that conversation. Maybe you can talk a little bit more about what's staying the same and a little bit of change, again, in that 10-minute conversation. Maybe you can talk about the dependability that's going on, but also what needs to change, right? Do you see how I'm kind of balancing out the methodic and steady nature of what's going on, and also addressing what I need to talk about? And this is building trust in them, because if you're going to slam them with more change, you want to vent, and there's not real facts and data behind it, again, you're not building trust, you're kind of breaking it with them. So when you talk about survivorship mode and that psychological safety, big factor in that is building this trust. So if you're like, my boss doesn't listen, but also you recognize that they're in boss burnout, I want you to know their work style, because if they're a D or an I, fast movers, they want efficiency, they want open dialogue and connection, get to the point. If they're an S or a C, they want that steady, methodical, let's get back to the data and details of things. And so when you can focus on that within your conversation, again, you're reconnecting with one another, building that trust. And that doesn't mean that you're going to fix their boss burnout, but let me tell you, they're probably going to listen. Because if you're going to do the opposite of what their work style needs for building trust, they are going to check out. They are going to shove you out of their office as fast as possible. Now, I had a conversation similar to this about building trust and how I can get my boss to listen. And this, I said the same thing I just said to you. And they said, I don't own that. I don't own fixing their burnout. I shouldn't have to be the one building trust. And although I agree you do not own your boss's burnout, you can meet them halfway by not dumping on them. You can give them some grace and acknowledge their work style in building that trust, because guess what, it takes two people to build that trust. If you're expecting someone else to do all the work, you're never going to build that trust because you're not participating in it. I want you to think like someone who's in burnout, right? And you're trying to lead a team, you're trying to keep up, you're trying to meet outcomes, and people keep giving you more. People keep slamming you with things that don't meet your work style needs. People aren't giving you grace. They just keep asking for more. You're going to go further into that burnout. Now, say you have a team that's recognizing that you're in this boss burnout. You already can tell you're disconnecting, you're not listening to your team. And they're recognizing your work style needs this, right? Efficiency, get to the point. I just need 10-minute conversations right now, or I need methodic, steady data details. You're going to move out of that boss burnout pretty fast, which is good for everyone. And that team collaboration comes together. And I think when you get to a point of building that trust and doing these 10-minute conversations, it's okay to tell your boss, hey, I really need you to just be present and listen to what I have going on. I need that type of support right now. That is fine. Let's be clear on what the actual question is. But if you're expecting someone to understand what's in your head without communicating it, it's not going to have a great outcome. And in the last part of that email, it says, I just need someone to listen for once. I don't want you to ever underestimate the power of just listening. You don't need to tell them what to do. You don't need to give advice. Maybe you just need to be active listening, phone down, no sending emails, no distracted with what's going on around you, and just listen and say, hey, I got 10 minutes. Let's talk about that question now. And just from 2 decades in human resources, I'll tell you, people feel so much better from someone just listening. These situations of boss burnout and people not listening are going to happen. All different industries, all different type of positions. But when you intentionally focus on what's going on within your organization, within your team, and acting on it early before it becomes bad boss burnout, that's workforce energy management.